The Try Guys are speaking out once again about everything that happened with Ned and giving us a little more insight into what they were dealing with behind the scenes.
We have been trending
for a while.
We've been trending. Okay, look, if you're here, you know what's been going on.
A few days ago, the Try Guys released a 5-minute video titled, "What Happened?" It was very scripted and well put together, probably because it was their first real statement, and they had to be very careful about what they said. But now that that initial statement is over and out of the way, they're giving us a more real look into what they were dealing with on their latest podcast episode. The episode is titled, "Okay, let's talk about it." And they don't hold back at all. Eugene is missing from the episode, so it's just Keith and Zach and their producer Miles. But they did make a point of saying that there's no scandal behind why Eugene isn't there. They said he's just not really a podcast type of guy, and having a podcast kind of makes you talk about your personal life, and Eugene really isn't into that, so it's totally understandable. So they opened up the video by telling us what to expect from this episode and what they would and wouldn't be talking about.
But this video, this episode, this pod is going to be kind of our emotional reaction. What the f has this been like?
Mostly like what we, I guess, emotionally went through and like things like that.
Zach started off by talking about how they found out over Labor Day weekend. And even though the news just broke to us last week, they've been dealing with this behind the scenes for over a month now.
We found out over Labor Day weekend, and it was a week of relentless work. I mean, it's been a month of relentless work, but especially that first week, we knew before the world knew. And this is something we took very seriously.
To make this whole situation even more stressful, Keith was on tour with his comedy band when the news broke. He was dealing with phone calls with the guys while on tour, trying to figure things out, and also being scared about when everything was going to get out to the public. He didn't want the news to affect the cast members in his comedy band, so that anticipation was extremely stressful for him. Keith also said something that was really sad and just goes to show how Ned's actions have truly affected everyone. He said he kept thinking about how these were the last times that he got to perform for a crowd without fans having a spoiled image of him and the Try Guys.
I think the thing that was hard for me to deal with was that I knew these were the last times I got to perform for a crowd that didn't have a besmirched image of the thing that they probably know me best from.
Sure.
So that was like hard and sad because each show that I did on that tour, I was like, okay, well, that's one more down. And then at the end of this tour, I know that that's it.
And I just found it really sad that the guys have to feel that way. They've built such a drama-free image for themselves, and they've worked so hard for the last 8 years building their brand. The fact that Ned so recklessly jeopardized that for them is so gross, and I can't even begin to imagine how betrayed they must all feel. Keith should have been on tour enjoying himself, doing what he loves to do. But instead, he was filled with anxiety, just waiting for the news to break to the world. Obviously, we now know that fans have sent Keith and Zach and Eugene a ton of love and support, but at that time, they had no idea how fans would react. Personally, I think they did everything right, and that's a huge reason why people have so much respect for them right now. They didn't try and sweep anything under the rug. They've been so open and honest about everything that's happened, and they've told us everything they legally can right now, and you can just see that people really respect them for that. They could have been like, guys, we're not talking about it, respect our privacy and just move on, but no. They're telling us everything, and people love it. If anything, so many new people have found their channel or been reminded of their channel because of what happened. Even Trisha Paytas said that she's been binging their videos these past few days, and it's the first time that she's actually discovered their content. Zach actually mentioned that their views have shot up from people going back and being curious, and now he understands why some people make getting into drama their thing.
I also want to talk about drama as a thing, because what I've learned is that drama works. We've had more eyeballs on us now than ever. It's kind of wild. I mean, even though we're not releasing videos, or we hadn't been releasing videos, our views on the back end, people were watching us. And so I go, oh, that's why people make this their career. That's why they lean hard into drama. And what I've also learned is I want no part in it.
Yeah.
We have prided ourselves for the last 8 years on being undramatic boys, and I cannot wait to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
They also talked about the whole process of the internal review they did. They said they really had to make sure that they were doing everything right. They knew if they handled even one thing slightly wrong, it could be putting them in the position to be sued, and they had to take every step to make sure that couldn't happen.
It's really challenging, and there's a lot of people to consider, and there's a lot of legal issues you have to consider.
And knowing that if we, sorry to interrupt, if we had any missteps whatsoever, we would be putting ourselves at risk in any which way, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to leave ourselves open for lawsuits if we were unjustly removing him or whatever what have you, right? Like,
during the podcast, someone's Be Real notification went off, and it got the guys talking about what they were posting while everything was going down. Keith said that he was really grateful for his Be Real because he only has close friends on there, and he was able to use it as an outlet to vent without it getting back onto the internet. Now that things are out there and they've put out their statements, Keith and Zach have returned to social media, and they've been posting a lot. They posted a few TikToks referencing how they were feeling lately, with one captioned, "What we wanted to say last week."
thanks for watching.
And Zach has truly been coping with humor over on Twitter, tweeting things like, "Opening Twitter for some LOLs, but every tweet is about me. Looking at all this merch about to hit Goodwill." They also talked about their mental state during everything that was happening. They said they went through the stages of grief over and over and over again, and they felt every emotion. They were worried about their careers, their future, and it was just a really scary time for them. Zach also felt like he couldn't really take a step back and process what had happened because they were constantly just go, go, go. They had so much to deal with. They were talking to lawyers and PR people and constantly refreshing Reddit, waiting for everyone to find out. It kind of sounds like they were on autopilot during this whole thing. They knew the position they were put in by Ned wasn't a good one, and they had to set aside their own emotions to really protect their brand. The most sadly ironic part about this whole thing is that the guys were at such a high point in their career, and then it all came crashing down. Zach said they had finally found this really good balance of branching off and doing the things they were each individually interested in. They had finally just went mainstream and had the show with the Food Network. Everything was going so good with them. And then it all came crashing down because of Ned.
I was just so excited about all the things going on, and it really made me sad.
We had finally gotten our workflow to a place where like it was so ideal. We were all working like really well within the system we built, but then also working on projects that fulfilled us outside of the Try Guys, and we had figured out that balance, and it just got like just decimated this last month. I haven't had time to work out and shower, let alone work on my personal projects.
All the way to the side.
They also said that once they made the decision to let Ned go and ask their editors to start editing him out of videos, they actually weren't allowed to tell anyone why. If they had have told their staff why, it would have been considered public information, and the staff would have been allowed to tell anyone they wanted to. Miles, their producer, was also one of the people who weren't told exactly what was going on. He said even though they weren't told, everyone was still able to put together the pieces themselves and figure out what was going on.
It was clear immediately what was going on, just because, obviously the internet was able to put it together in a matter of days.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We all had this information of something weird is happening at work. We're being asked to edit Ned out of videos. He's not appearing in certain things. So we're sort of putting that together just before everyone else did. It was clear that something weird was going on, but we also were aware that you could not speak candidly to what that was because of all of this red tape. And like you were working towards a place where you could then tell us exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
Zach and Keith also brought up the former BuzzFeed employees who either spoke out about the situation, wrote articles, and even one saying they weren't surprised.
I'm glad that this experience gave former BuzzFeed employees the opportunity to vent their BuzzFeed trauma. You know, that's what this moment's all about.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they had their moment.
Another thing that Zach and Keith wanted to address was that they didn't plan statements with Ned. A lot of people thought that Ned and the Try Guys got together and planned their responses. They were both released around the same time, they both had a very similar font, and they were written in a very similar way. The Try Guys are now saying that they didn't plan that with Ned, and they think he did it on purpose. They actually sent Ned their statement first, but Ned didn't send his to them, so they think he had this whole thing planned.
We shared what our statement was going to be. We did not have insight into what his statement was. I also want to say that we did not coordinate fonts. I believe that he saw ours and copied it.
That is our opinion.
And it is an opinion that I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like, you got to choose the same font
that was
that made it look like we wrote your... Come on, man.
It's my opinion that was on purpose. That was to a optimized result for him. That's my opinion.
As for the future of their videos, they said they did edit Ned out of videos where it was possible to do so, but they aren't going to go back and delete or edit their old videos. They said those videos are always going to be there for people to go back and watch, but they did delete 2 videos.
There are a few videos that we went back and privatized because we felt they were insensitive to what's going on.
Zach ended off with a message to leave their staff alone. Apparently, there's been some pretty huge YouTubers who've looked into who their staff are, and they don't like it.
Yeah. Leave our staff alone.
Yeah.
There's people who are obviously caught up in this because of their association with us, because of their association with the people involved. Back off.
Yeah.
Or I'll fight you.
100%. There were like giant YouTubers like going through old photos of people in our company, people that did not have anything to do with this, that are not public personalities. And if you're one of those people, you're a garbage person. A scumbag.
You know you are, though. They already know that.
They already know that.
So yeah, this whole podcast was just a deeper look into what they've been dealing with over this past month. Ned's one extremely selfish and wrong decision really affected them and so many other people that they're connected to. They had to make sure they did everything right, or Ned, with nothing to lose, could very well come after them legally and make their life even harder. Of course, it's going to be an adjustment for them, and they did say that some of their content might change in the future. They've talked about retiring a few segments in the past, and now that Ned is gone, they're talking about a huge change of content in the new year. They really want to try some new things, and maybe even do some stuff that not everyone was on board with before. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything down below, and I'll see you next time.